So first of all, welcome everyone. Thank you for spending your part of your Friday morning with Robert and me, Brittany, as we talk about reconciliation, reports, resources, tips and tricks. Hopefully this, no matter where you are in your reconciliation journey, we're hopeful that we have some information here that will be helpful to you. So let's get started.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So first of all, an overview, who is this for? First of all, this is specifically, we're very narrowing of our focus today. It's specifically for those US clients who use Commerce7 Payments as their gateway. So this has to do with you guys. Now, if you are Canadian or South African friends that are watching this or participating today, just know that there are going to be some screens that you won't recognize. Now, you may still very well get some information out of this because we're going to be talking about, some general practices, etc. But just letting you know that it is specific to those using Commerce7 Payments. As far as the rest of what we'll be talking about, we're going to talk, why reconciliation? Why are we even talking about this? Batch timing and payouts, general steps for reconciliation, including the reports that we use, available apps and extensions from our partners that can help with reconciliation. And then we're going to end with some common questions that we get in support. And then, of course, some Q&A along the way. So feel free to put any questions into the Q&A area, and Robert will be monitoring those. And also, we're going to cover a lot of stuff today. So if you have very specific issues that you're having with your reconciliation process, you very well may be asked to just let Robert know, get your information so that we can then follow up with you afterward. This is going to be more of an overview and just talking about general tools and practices that you should be able to use.
Completely agree.
All right. So why are we even talking about reconciliation? I know how sexy it is. It's a very sexy subject, but it is very, very important. Everyone has to do it. Nobody necessarily enjoys doing it. It can seem opaque. We can get stuck. And everyone does it differently. So hopefully we'll be able to walk through some tools and possibly some things that you didn't know existed within the reports, etc., that will be a good resource for you. It can be, reconciliation isn't fun, but hopefully we can make it a little bit easier for you. So a couple of kind of overarching umbrella things that we need to talk about prior to getting into the nitty-gritty of the actual reporting. And you may or may not know these things, so they're always really good to touch on because these two things that we're talking about, batch time and payouts, are so often the cause of any mismatch between what you're seeing in Commerce7 reporting versus what you're seeing in the bank. So the first one is batch time. So batches are, a collection of transactions that happen within a particular time period, a 24-hour time period, excuse me. And the batch time for Commerce7 Payments, or Full Steam, which is the gateway behind Commerce7 Payments, is 9:05 Eastern, 6:05 Pacific. And can you change that batch time? No, you cannot. Again, this is not something that we at Commerce7 even have control over. This is Full Steam. So no, you cannot change it. It's going to, at least for the foreseeable future, this is your batch time at night. It's every night. Then we have payouts. And payouts are deposited on a 2-day rolling basis. And those are business days only. So up here, our batch time is every night. Payouts are every 2 days. It, kind of wraps up all those batches, puts them into a payout on a 2-day rolling basis. So for instance, transactions batched on a Tuesday night at 6:05 Pacific will be deposited into your bank on Friday because it takes those 2 business days, Wednesday, Thursday, and then it's deposited on Friday morning. Likewise, if it's batched on Saturday night at 6:05 p.m., you will see that deposited into your bank that next Wednesday, because again, Saturday, not a business day. So you have to, it's basically getting into process on Monday, takes Tuesday, and then on on Wednesday morning, you will see the funds in your bank. Okay. You may be asking, well, can I get my payouts quicker? The answer is happily yes. It does cost $20 a month. Again, this is a full steam cost. This is not us, but that very well may be worth it to you. Now, batch time remains the same. It's that 6:05 p.m. Pacific every night, but funds would be deposited the next business day. So if you have transactions batched on Monday night, they'll be deposited Tuesday morning. If they're batched on Friday, they will be deposited on Monday. And if they happen on Saturday or Sunday, batched Saturday or Sunday, they will be deposited on Tuesday. Hi, Christina. Okay, so there's that. So if that's something that you are interested in, reach out to us in support and we can help enable that for you. Another kind of overarching umbrella thing here that I want to bring up is if you use an integrated ERP or enterprise resource planning program that automatically imports Commerce7 orders into the ERP, an example is Navision by Microsoft. I know that wineries definitely use that. Then you have the opportunity, and I would encourage you to run, not walk, to go and take a look if you can customize your batch time cutoff time. If you can, you want to set that batch cutoff time to 6:10 p.m. Pacific. And you may be asking, well, Brittany, if cutoff time is 6:05, why would I make it 6:10? And that's because the 6:05 time sometimes it varies by a couple of minutes. So there is the possibility that you could miss a transaction or two that comes in, say at or batch like at 6:07 or something. So you want to make sure that you catch that, and that 5-minute pillow there really helps with that. So make sure that cutoff time in your ERP is 6:10, and you should pull in those same exact batches that are closing every night within Commerce7 Payments. Now, why would you want to do that? Because a lot of the mismatches that happen when you're kind of, where's that $50.17 coming from? Why I see it in my bank, I don't see, or vice versa. It can happen because there's a batch time mismatch there. Now, if you don't have an integrated ERP or your accounting system does not allow for batch time customization on their side, not a problem. That's what we're talking about today. We're going to talk about the various reports, et cetera, other resources that can help you, pinpoint those things and hopefully make it as easy as possible. All right, we're getting into the nitty-gritty of it. So in general, there are going to be 3 steps to your reconciliation process. Number 1, you want to reconcile your credit cards, and those are credit cards that are transacted through Commerce7 Payments /full steam. You want to do that first. Secondly, reconcile your cash. And then thirdly, reconcile your digital wallets via Stripe. So if you have Stripe enabled and you take payments for Apple Pay, Google Pay, et cetera, that is reconciled separately. So we'll talk about that as well. So here we are, step 1. We're reconciling the credit cards that are coming through Commerce7 Payments. So the first place, my very first stop would be to the finance reports, so reports, finance reports, and you want to go to the gateway payout report. This is going to detail the payouts that have gone to your bank, and you'll be able to take a look at the transactions within that particular payout. So as we look at it, you can see that you can filter based on payout ID or deposit date. So if you're looking at particular deposit date and you really want to, figure out what's in the bank versus, what Commerce7 says you've taken in, this is your first stop. Down here, you will see a list of those payouts based on your deposit date time frame. And then down here, you have the opportunity, you can either export those gateway payouts and take a look at them in a spreadsheet, or you can click on the payout and it will then open up a summary that has all of the transactions. Now, when you look at this, you see a kind of a snapshot of that particular payout at the top. And then we have two tabs. Sometimes we get questions about this and people sometimes don't know that these two tabs exist. We have the transactions tab, which of course is going to talk about, it's going to have your order number, transaction ID, a cardholder name if it exists, gross funded amount, total fees, credit card fees, and then the net funded amount. These are per transaction in this particular payout. Then there is the non-transactional fees tab. That's going to give you your things like account updater fees, credit card. It's going to detail those credit card fees. It's also going to include any terminal orders. So if you have a new terminal that you have ordered in your tasting room, it's going to show that in this particular tab of this report. Now, in a perfect world, the sun's shining, the birds are chirping. This is as far as you'd have to go to make sure that in a perfect world, the payout that you see here on these dates would match the payout that you see at the bank. Sometimes that happens, and that's great. And like I was just talking about with the ERP, if you're able to match up those cutoff times for the batches, it will happen more often than not that they will match up, and that will be a beautiful day. But of course, that's why reconciliation is sometimes a challenge. They don't match up and you need to be able to find those. So again, being able to get in here and look at these individual transactions, oftentimes you can kind of find, oh, there's that $50.13. Okay, it actually went in this time, and you can start kind of picking through it and figuring it out. Now, whereas the last report is a payout report, it talks about all the transactions in a particular payout. If you're still kind of kind of struggling a little bit and being like, I still need to figure out where that's coming from. Maybe it was paid out on a different day, et cetera, you can head over to the gateway transaction report. This is going to show all of the transactions that have occurred in a particular time period through the gateway, not just the ones in a payout, but all of them, so that then you can start picking out, oh, okay, actually, I expected that going on Tuesday, but actually went on Wednesday. It's not, sometimes those rolling deposits, sometimes they don't make it in for whatever reason. There might be one that goes in on a day earlier, a day later. I don't know why that is. It's just the banking system and the way it works. But this particular transaction report will be able to help you identify those pretty darn quickly. Mm-hmm. Now, in this one, this is an example of what it looks like. Again, you have a lot of information based at the transaction level. You see the order numbers here. You filter by transaction date. This is just a magnified version of what is here. So transaction date. And then we have reconciliation status. Now, what we mean by reconciliation status in this context is that if an order is reconciled, it is attached to an order number. If it's not reconciled, it means that funds have been brought into Commerce7, but there's no order number for it to attach to. Now, this can happen. It's usually a connectivity issue, internet, et cetera. It could be that, when the customer was putting in, excuse me, or your staff is putting in information into an EMV device, right at the time that person is paying, maybe there was a timeout on the EMV device, stuff like that. It's unusual. It's not something we see every day, certainly, and it's not something we like to see. but it can happen. And so if you are like, whoa, I cannot find this transaction, definitely come over to this report and filter for reconciled no. And that will bring up any of those orders that are in kind of this limbo land. And then very often, then you can, you'll be like, oh, there it is. And you'll be able to reconcile from there. Robert, I do have a question.
Yeah, of course.
If folks do come across an unreconciled transaction,
Mhm.
what do we do when they bring that up to us in support?
Right. So typically, if there's something that's unreconciled, there are different causes that can be the reason this is happening. So if they come to us at support for assistance with these unreconciled transactions, we're definitely happy to dig into it a little further. Sometimes it could simply be that the device failed for whatever reason, right? Like there could be many different causes. We'll typically try to identify if there was like a successful order for that same card holder to almost match up, like, okay, this was actually transacted successfully, the order was processed. Potentially sometimes there's a pending cart for that successful transaction. So we'll take some time from our end. We usually will dig into it. If there's ever a case, sometimes it can happen, again, anomalies happen where there's like a duplicate transaction. We're more than happy to assist you with next steps for those more use case situations, with either completing the refund through Commerce7, which is usually our recommendation. That way you have a trail for that. But if need be, we can assist you with getting that duplicate transaction refunded if that is the cause for that. But whenever those come up, if you're noticing those and you're not able to locate an order, definitely reach out to Commerce7 and we can take a look for you at support.
Cool. Thank you.
No problem.
All right. So
But
again,
sorry, just before you continue,
yes.
Elaine had asked, and I'm gonna check on this, I think, a little bit, Elaine, but Britt, I just wanted to know if you had maybe some knowledge too, through your prep from this. She's asking for chargebacks on the gateway payout report. She's only seeing them when she sends them to her email. Is it possible to see chargebacks without sending a report to my email? I just asked for a little clarity. I'm just waiting to see if she means like seeing the chargeback listed on the gateway payout report, or if it's like only showing up when you're exporting the CSV. We're just waiting on a response here. Honestly, I don't think the chargebacks display within Commerce7, but I'll have to check on that, Elaine. So just wanted to side note that if you could give us a bit more context in the chat, I'll definitely look into that a little further after the call as well.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Okay, so next, the final report that I want to just call out, and this is a relatively new report that's been added to the system in the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 months. So relatively new. And again, it's in reports, finance reports, and this is going to be your gateway statement. This is a monthly statement that is provided by Full Steam. When you go in there, you can filter based on month and year. And this is what it looks like. If you are reconciling the month prior and you are just like, man, I cannot nail down this particular transaction or this number of transactions, this is going to be your go-to. This will list everything. It is very detailed, and 99.9% of the time, you're going to find what you need here. Now, there is a caveat, and that is that this statement is available on, is it on the 5th day, like day 5, Robert, or is it day 6?
Yeah, so it's like 5 days after the start of the month. So I almost want to say like day 6 to be safe. If you see it on day 5, great. Again, I think with everything you mentioned in terms of the dates, business dates, right? It's kind of, but 5 days after, I always think of it like you need to at least account for the last payout, right? Because you could have transactions processed up till the end of the month, and then there could still be another payout, which is why you wouldn't see it immediately on the 1st of the month, just to ensure everything is captured.
Got it. So when you are reconciling that previous month, just know that to have complete information, you'll want to pull that on the, it sounds like on the 6th of the month, everything will be there. So great, excellent report.
And before we carry on, Britt, sorry, just one quick thing. Vanessa said 5 business days. I don't want to say, I have a feeling 5 business days would be the safe bet. Again, like, it really, I hate to push back on Full Steam saying it's from them, but it's when they that statement is available, our API is able to pull that in for you, right? So I would say 5 business days to be safe, but it would really depend on those different factors.
Got it. Okay. Okay, step 2. We are reconciling our cash. For this one, we would recommend going to reports, order reports, and then using the closing report. And you can certainly filter for whatever, maybe you're just reconciling your POS cash. Use the filters for whatever you need, apply those filters. And then down below, you'll see in the results, you'll scroll down and see tender details, and you will see a cash line item there. And that's where you can grab that. Step 3, reconciling your mobile wallet payments. So again, this is for your Apple Pay, Google Pay, etc. These are all the payments that are going through Stripe. This is your Stripe account. Now, this is done directly within Stripe. We have zero visibility into the payouts and batching in Stripe. So you need to log in there and take a look at that. One thing I do want to call out is that in Stripe, it does default to daily payouts, but you can certainly configure it to be weekly, monthly, or manual. So there is some flexibility there if you'd rather payouts happen on a different cadence than daily. We're going to talk about some apps and extensions within Commerce7 that can help with the financial reporting. So I'm going to head over there on the dashboard. We're going into apps and extensions. And faces. Under type here, you can filter for reporting, and that'll bring up a couple of them. One of them, Tree Frog Digital. If you use Sage Pastel Accounting for your software, they have a nice extension here. You can click into it, learn all about it, see if that is something that would be helpful to you. And then Wineglass Marketing has a couple of QuickBooks integrations. One is for QuickBooks Desktop. The other one is for QuickBooks Online. So depending on what you use, one of those extensions would probably be very helpful if you're a QuickBooks user. And then, let's see. Oh, actually, let me take there we go. And then there's Shogo. Shogo is another one that may very well help you. It works with a whole number of accounting software. So this may be the answer for you. For any of these, just click into them. It gives you a full overview. You can certainly install it, contact the developer if you have specific questions. Take a look at their documentation, see if it's a fit for you. But again, if you have any questions about specific to your business model and your processes and whether this particular app would be good for you, definitely reach out to the developer. They're going to know a whole lot more about the integration and how it works, how their own integration works than we do. So definitely contact the developers for those. But all 3 of those are great options and may make your life a little bit easier if you're not already using them. Let's see here. Heading back into the slides here. We have some common questions that come up in support. Can monthly credit card fees be calculated on a monthly basis as opposed to on a daily basis? And the answer is yes. Fullsteam can adjust that for you. So all you have to do is ask us in support and we can help get that enabled for you. We get to ask this a lot. Is there a separate site or login where I can access Merchant Track directly? Like, do I have? The answer is no, you cannot. Everything that you can do with regard to your reconciliation or reporting, et cetera, is in Commerce7 with regard to Commerce7 Payments. If you get stuck, will Commerce7 help? Of course we will. We don't want you to be frustrated with this process. We know how hard it can be sometimes. So please do reach out to us. So often it's something pretty simple. Like if you're like, hey, why isn't this sale from yesterday afternoon in my, bank account yet? Well, it's because there's, the payouts happen every 2 days. There are certain things that are pretty easy to pinpoint. So don't drive yourself crazy. Please do reach out to us, because it could very well be something super simple that we can help you with, and then you can get on with your day. One thing that's not mentioned here that I really want to bring up is that sometimes, well, let's just say data integrity at Commerce7 is a cornerstone of what we do. And whether you love it or you don't love it, you cannot, you can't edit orders. And there's a reason for that. And it makes it so that the data, the transaction data, is super clean and super clear cut. And it makes it so that reconciliation actually is much easier than it would be if you could willy-nilly change those orders, edit orders. It makes it so much easier. So just wanting to the accountants out there, the data integrity is rock solid, and it is very clear cut because we don't allow those edits. Q&A.
So helpful.
Q&A. So yeah, certainly if anybody has questions. Oh, one other thing that I just want to show you is that I spent quite a bit of time this week revamping and adding to our existing documentation on all of this. So if you are in Commerce7, you go to support, you head over to the knowledge base, and you just type in, for instance, recon. There it is. And this has everything I just talked about. And then down here, we have the steps that I talked about. Step 1, step 2, step 3. These are anchor links. So if you're like, oh, I forgot how do I reconcile cash? You can just,
It's actually perfect. You're at reconcile cash. Vanessa's asking for step 2, reconciling cash. Could you please remind me where to get the reports? Is it under reports, finance report? I just missed the last part. So perfect part of the article to go to.
Perfect. So yes, we go to reports and then order reports, and it's that closing report there. Neat.
I love it. It was, the timing was very synchronistic. I love it. But yeah, the doc looks great, Brett. Amazing.
Yeah, I thank you very much. I spent a lot of time. I want everybody to know too that I not only spoke with, of course, our amazing team and different members of the team in different departments to kind of gather all of this information. I also spoke to wineries and gathered what their process is as well. So that's also a part of this. Things that have worked for others, I'm hopeful will help for everyone. So yeah, that's kind of how we arrived at this information.
Absolutely. We're just waiting on any additional questions. Not speaking just yet. I had mentioned to Elaine, I'm going to follow up with her on her specific questions about the chargebacks. I'll be honest, I think at this point, I don't quite think the chargebacks do display within Commerce7, but I don't want to give a definitive answer on that just yet. So I will look into that one further. I'm not seeing anything else just yet, Brittany, but of course.
This is a big subject.
I was going to say, I love the first line of your article, right? It's almost very difficult to get down into the nitty gritty because everybody's process does look so different. But of course, using the tools from Commerce7, if you guys ever have questions, you're finding that you're struggling, as Brittany mentioned, like, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We want these reports, the information, we want it to work for you as well. And we want it to be easy for you to take that information and then, of course, do with it what you need to do.
Yeah, just, yeah, well, hopefully this will help some folks at least be able to troubleshoot a little bit easier, and just know that, again, we're here to help. We don't want you to be pulling your hair out. Definitely reach out to us if you get into a bind and cannot find particular transactions. We are happy to help.
Absolutely.
And thank you very much. Thanks, Robert. And everybody have a fantastic weekend. Happy Mother's Day to
Happy Mother's Day. Yes, of course.
All right, bye.
All right.